published 0057 est, the 8th of January. The 2018 updated 0759 est, the 8th of January 2018. England have been comprehensively outplayed by Australia for the majority of the Ashes. The urn has changed hands and it is time to run the rule over both sets of players. James Vince has been one of several England players who have seriously struggled, while Australia captain Steve Smith has been a superstar. Sportsmail columnist Nasser Hussain offers his verdict and score out of 10 for all 27 players who have been involved. James Vince has been dismissed in the same way repeatedly and must move down the order. He played one great innings on a flat pitch at the MCG, and that was important for England, because they need him at the top of the order for the next couple of years, but he will be disappointed he did not produce it while the Ashes were alive. The last couple of years have been feast or famine. He started well but faded, and he will be regretting his failure to convert a couple of early 50s, after he was hit on the head in Perth. You could see it affected his movement, balance and composure, and he got a bit chest and playing the short ball. But I would still take him to New Zealand. He would love to go back to that moment in Brisbane when he had 83 and played into the offside, only to be run out. After that, it was one repetitive dismissal after another, which was frustrating and did not say much for his mental toughness. If he goes to New Zealand, he has to back down the order. Number 3 is too pivotal a position. You have to admire his consistency, not just in this series but over the last 2 years. Almost every time he bats, he gets a score, but converting those into big hundreds is an issue, especially when opposite number Steve Smith is racking up the runs. I thought criticism of his captaincy was harsh. He did not have the tools in Australia, where you need fast bowlers and a high-quality spinner or two. Joe Root has been consistent and is unfortunate given what his team lacks in fast bowlers. To be the team's standout batsman on your first Ashes tour is some achievement. If any player is proof that you should pick on character, it is Mallon. He did not always look pretty, especially against Nathan Lyon, but he was always gutsy. You have to tip your hat to Trevor Bayliss for the selection. His keeping was excellent, and he took some stunning catches, so he has to stay behind the stumps. It was wrong to batter him below Moeen Ali for the first 2 tests, and I have no idea why England did that. As soon as he moved up to number 6 in Perth, he made 100. He should be in the top 6, whether he has the gloves or not. He never got into the series and was outbowled by Lyon. He was unlucky to start with a couple of injuries to his side and spinning finger, but his performance shows that he cannot be the frontline slow bowler away from home. In English conditions he is fine, but abroad it just isn't working, and that places more onus on him to work on his batting. Moeen Ali has underperformed. His performances show he cannot be a frontline bowler. Away was probably the most disappointing of the seamers, although he showed some progress before picking up the injury that ruled him out of Sydney. He has work to do if he is to get back to the bowler he was before picking up his side injury in June. His pace looks down, he is not finding much movement, and he is a bit skiddy, which is not a great combination. He only bowled well in one test, at Melbourne, where he dragged himself through with nous and experience, but he has a technical issue with his wrist coming down the side of the ball, which limits movement away from the right-handers and reduces his pace. Physically, he has got to prove that he can do the job day in, day out. He got better with the bat as the pitches got slower. The stats, 17 wickets at 27 apiece, do not quite show how well he bowled. For a 35-year-old who has never enjoyed the Kookaburra ball, he did about as well as he could have done. He always had control, he had plenty of energy, and his speeds never dropped. A big tick. James Anderson comes out of the tour with some credit and did as well as he could have. Showed promise to get some good players out and made up for a slight lack of pace with the bounce he got off a length. He also showed bottle bowling with a fractured rib at Perth and knuckling down for runs on his debut in Adelaide. He should start in New Zealand. Harsh to judge him on his performance on 2 flat pitches, but I thought his selection was odd. After all the injuries England suffered to their seamers, to bring in another 80 miles per hour right-arm seamer was weird. Why not go with one of the quicker young bowlers? His selection typified the muddle England got themselves into. Another who was not quite quick enough in his one test, at Brisbane. He did not have the bounce we sometimes see in England, and it was noticeable that Overton, who bowls with similar pace, was hitting the splice of the bat more than him. Figures of 1 for 193 on Test debut may not suggest it, but I thought he bowled fine. Do not forget that he is only 20 and spent the tour carrying drinks before being asked to bowl leg spin against some of the best players in the world. Mason Crane is still young and will have learned a lot from his exposure to Ashes cricket. Once England worked out they could just bowl full and straight to him, he faded away. Australia are still looking for an opener to accompany Warner. I loved how he adapted at Melbourne, all guns blazing at first, then slowing it down in the second innings to save the game. He had been in his bunker before that and will be unhappy not to have converted more starts. David Warner adapted his game depending on the situation, which showed a maturity he improved against spin as the series wore on, and his 171 in Sydney secures his place in the side for the time being. A good player. An outstanding series. England threw plans A, B, C, D and E at him and none of them worked. They could not blast him out, bore him out or spin him out. And he was always desperate to win, even at 30, the find of the summer. Within half an hour of watching him in Brisbane, I wondered why he has had such an up-and-down career. He is a good player of spin and got the tempo of his innings spot on. Another example of the Australia selectors having a better series than their English counterparts. He looks organised and showed in Melbourne that he can defend and attack. Mitchell Marsh impressed for the hosts with a number of high-quality innings found out at this level because he goes so deep in his crease and has too many movements back and across. England just needed to bowl full at him. Another good selection by Australia. He missed a catch on the first day in Brisbane but almost nothing after that. His batting gave Australia depth. While England's bowling dropped off after Anderson and Broad, Australia could turn to the extra pace of Cummins. Averaged 40 with a bat at number 8 to make a mockery of the idea England had the stronger lower order. Even though he was not quite at his brilliant best, he was still a captain's dream, getting good players out at the top of the order and blowing away the tail with his combination of full balls and bounces. Mitchell Starc constantly terrorised the England batting lineup from top order to tail end. Known of the pitches were Bunsen burners, but that did not stop him having a major say, especially against England's left-handers. He got excellent dip, varied his pace and troubled Cook. He is a very good line bowler, but he also upped his pace, which meant he could use the bouncer as a weapon. Hard to judge him on a Melbourne featherbed, but there was a drop-off in pace and class when he came in for Starc.